Thank you.
I want to start off tonight by welcoming everyone to the Parish Council this Tuesday, September 17th, 2024 at 6:30 p.m. And we will start with a roll call, please.
Allen. Here. Easley. Here. Dominique.
Here.
Frazier.
Here.
Smith.
Here.
Pierce.
Here.
Jenkins. Here. Markins.
Here.
Bradford. Here. Martinez. Here. Darden.
Here.
Jewel.
Here.
Morgan.
Here.
Let the minutes reflect that we do have a full house tonight, so everyone's present. And we'll start off. I'll ask Councilman Darden to please start us off with pledge of allegiance.
I, the United States of America, and to the republic which is to stand, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next, any public comments from the audience must register with the clerk. And next, I want to ask the council, we have a guest here tonight, Mr. Timmy Martinez, who's running for mayor of the city of Plaquemine. And he is not on the agenda tonight to speak, but I would like for y'all to give permission tonight, if you would, and allow him 3 minutes. Any objections to that? Debbie? Okay, go ahead. We're going to give Macy a minute to go ahead and type it into the computer system.
I need a motion in a second.
Okay, I need a motion and a second.
Make the motion.
A second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Allen.
Yes.
Easley.
Yes.
Dominique.
Yes.
Frazier.
Yes.
Smith.
Yes.
Pierce.
Yes.
Jenkins.
Yes.
Markins.
Yes.
Bradford.
Yes.
Martinez.
Yes.
Darden.
Yes.
Jewel. No.
Yes.
Morgan. Sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Martinez, we ask you to come forward.
Thank y'all for giving me this time. I probably won't be long. My name is Timmy Martinez. I'm a candidate for mayor, city of Plaquemine. I'm the only one in this race that got experience in city government. Specifically, Plaquemine city government. I'm a city councilman for 16 years. Mayor pro tem for the last 4 years I was in there. I can hit the ground running. I can get in there the first day. I got the experience and the knowledge to get things done from the get-go. Some of you I worked with, a couple of y'all when I was on the council. So I know we got 4 or 5 of y'all that had districts that's within or got peace in the city of Plaquemine. The ones that I work with know that I'm always available and I'm always doing the best that I can for the city. And I'll continue to do it. And I also promise all of y'all that if you got anything you need from the city of Plaquemine when I'm in office, if I can do it, we're going to do it. One thing Chris did that I was going to do what he started is that he started the mayor's conference once a month. You know, I planned on meeting with him once a month because what's good for the parish is good for Plaquemine and vice versa. What's good for Plaquemine is good for the parish. I always got the best interest of the city in mind. And I always want to help the parish. So I said I wasn't going to be long. I'll leave it at that. Thank y'all for your time. Good evening.
Appreciate you coming.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Good luck. All right, next we have a presentation appearance by Miss Lisa Jordan with the East Grand Lake Project amicus brief. And we invite you forward.
Thank you. I'm Lisa Jordan, and I'm the director of the Tulane Environmental Law Clinic in New Orleans. We represent 5 organizations in a lawsuit against the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers for issuing a permit to allow the Louisiana Coastal Protection and Restoration Authority to do a project that's called the East Grand Lake Project. So the plaintiffs in this case are the Atchafalaya Basin Keeper, the Louisiana Crawfish Producers Association West, the Sierra Club and its Delta chapter, the Waterkeeper Alliance, and Healthy Gulf. And so there's been a request from my clients that the council, consistently with the resolution that y'all passed back in December, I think, of 2022, opposing this project. This is the same project that y'all passed the resolution opposing, and we filed suit when the Corps issued the permit. Back at the time y'all did the resolution, the Corps had not issued the permit yet, but they did. And so this is a lawsuit in federal court. It's filed in the Middle District of Louisiana, which is in Baton Rouge. As I said, the suit is against the Corps of Engineers because they have the obligation to follow the laws that control permitting of projects that could be, and in this case will be, destructive to the environment. And so this lawsuit is based on the National Environmental Policy Act and the Clean Water Act and requirements that those laws impose on the Corps. And basically the theme of the lawsuit is that this project is going to be incredibly destructive for the East Grand Lake area of the Atchafalaya Basin. It's going to bring in a lot of sediment into the area and just sediment it up so badly that it will not serve any of the functions that it currently does, all of which are important to many people and to some people, one of which is the flood protection that the basin provides. When there's sediment in the basin and the spillway can't serve its function. It's bad for water quality. It's bad for access. For fishermen and recreational people to have access. Of course, the more sediment, the less times out of the year that people can get into these areas in their boats, and it's also going to be destructive for the water quality. So that's really the theme behind the lawsuit, is how incredibly destructive this is going to be. And what we're asking the judge to do is to invalidate the permit that the Corps of Engineers issued. And basically require the Corps to start all over. But back in 1982, the Corps had done something called an environmental impact statement, and it's sort of a very broad statement where they discuss all kinds of impacts. And it authorized other projects just like this one, two of which were completed. One's called the Buffalo Cove Project, and the other one is Bow Bayou, and they both had this very incredibly destructive sedimentation happen as a result. And this one is going to do the same thing. So there's a request that the council do an amicus brief, which is a friend of the court brief, basically telling the judge, what the council's opinion of the project is and why, and it would support the plaintiffs in this litigation. And I'm happy to answer any questions that y'all have or provide more detail if y'all.
Any questions?
Yeah,
Ms. Martinez, you want to?
I have a question. What exactly is this project supposed to do? What's the purpose of it?
So what they say that it's supposed to do, and this, by the way, just sort of morphs over time, depending on what kind of evidence shows that it's not going to do what they said, and then they change it. But the basic idea that the CPRA presents is that it's going to improve water quality, because the water quality in the East Grand Lake area of the basin is suffering somewhat, though it still serves all the valuable functions that I mentioned. It still serves, even with the water quality issue. So they say, well, this project, which is basically going to be cutting through like spoil banks in other areas and bringing in river water, and they say this is going to improve the water quality. It's going to improve the dissolved oxygen, because this water is going to flow in, and the flow of the water will improve water quality. That's what they say the project is going to do. We have an expert who says it's going to actually achieve the opposite, because the river water has fertilizer, from up the river, right? All the farms and stuff, it has nitrogen and phosphorus, which ultimately will suck up the dissolved oxygen. It might have a short period where the water quality gets better, but then afterward it's going to get worse. But that's the supposed purpose of the project.
And just to give a little bit of the backside here, I think, like she said, they came in December of, I don't know what year. It was prior to me being on the council, and everything was pretty much explained to the council at the time about this project. So Mr. Dean Wilson and I spoke, and he asked if we were already aware of what the project was about. We were in agreement with you guys on being against it. He asked if we could kind of do a Friends of the Court letter just saying, hey, look, we do back you guys in this lawsuit. So we just asked that they come and explain to everybody what we were actually signing. And I would appreciate everybody backing it, because it definitely is detrimental to definitely people in Chastity and I's area. Mr. Dean Wilson came to my house and we looked, and I was actually very shocked at what the basin is starting to look like because of these projects. So, if you guys have any questions, she's here. That's basically what we wanted to do, was open the floor to you guys to know what was going on.
Any other questions?
One just quick question. Mr. Clark, do you have any opinion on this?
This, you know, it's, you know, this project is gonna do exactly what they're talking about. You know, it has pluses and minuses there. You know, on one side, you could say, okay, it's gonna bring in more water into an area of the swamp that, fishermen may use that they may say is dead. It may help the, water quality and the oxygen. Then on the other side, they can say, okay, by bringing in this fresh water right off the Atchafalaya River, which is flowing down through Bayou Sorrel, it's full of sand. It's a lot of sand. Matt, you can attest to how it used to be and what it's like now. So fish, crawfish, they don't really thrive well in sand. And also too, the sand is gonna build up, it'll create land. Landowners might like it too, you know, but, you just have to weigh it out on your interest and the interests of the local people.
Yeah.
And I guess they're gonna try to help this one particular area, but it won't help any if we can't even get to it.
Exactly.
That's right, yeah.
And all of our residents has came to us and expressed their backing for this too, so.
You know, in their defense, meaning the other side, is that the land that they're planning on doing this to, they own it, like some 4,000 acres. However, water doesn't stop. It knows no boundary in the woods. It continues on. So it's the impacts that may not just happen on their site, but to other sites and overall for the entire, you know, that region of the basin.
Did you get the opportunity to talk to the Corps of Engineers?
No, sir, I did not.
So what are we trying to do here? We're trying to get this to court to get a ruling on who's right, who's wrong?
So, yes and no. This brief would go to the court, and basically it would support the plaintiff saying that this permit should be overturned. And while we do believe that the permittee, the CPRA and the Nature Conservancy is also part of the project, while they, you know, we disagree about the result, it's going to be bad, and we have our experts that say, and they have their science, which frankly is not supported, but it's really about the process. The lawsuit is more about the fact that the Corps of Engineers just did not look at this whole process in a way that it should be. It's being described as a proof of concept. That's how the CPRA came here, and this stood right here at the water quality certification hearing that Mr. Jewell came to, and said, "You're sitting in my seat." That was the best line of the evening. But basically, you know, they came here and said that the project is, you know, is going to succeed, but they admit that it's going to cause sedimentation. That's actually not in question, that it's going to cause sedimentation, but it's the process, and they're describing it as basically an experiment. And they're experimenting with an area that people make their livelihood. And I do want to disagree with one thing. This is a navigable waterway, and people can't own it. So you know, that's at least my client's position, and there's certainly some federal law to support. So the whole concept that we can do what we want with our land, not when it's a navigable waterway. And during large parts of the year, the East Grand Lake is a navigable water. So just had to put that in there because my clients wouldn't want me to let that go by without being said. But the idea is that the agency needs to really do a much better job of looking at this. And that means going back to that 1982 statement I started to talk about, where they said these kinds of projects will work. And then there were two that failed, dramatically failed. So there's a history that shows that these don't work. Of course, CPRA says, this one's different, right? Of course they say that. But what we're asking is go back to square one, and do this right. And we think doing it right will mean a denial. But the court cannot go in and deny the permit. That's not what it can't do that under the laws that we've brought. It can just say, we're invalidating the court decision and sending it back.
Yeah.
We just trying to get agreement not to do it.
Pardon?
So we're just trying to get them agreement not to do it.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct.
And we had a meeting here, we had a public hearing here on the East Grand Lake project, and we were all against it. And I think maybe one person was for it during that meeting, and we thought they would just drop it, but I think they'd already made up their mind that they were gonna go through with it. And I think the main reason is because they got millions and millions of dollars to spend, and that would have been the quickest, easiest project to do because the Nature Conservatory owned that property, and they were willing to let them do what they wanted to do out there. So what do? We keep that budget. We keep those millions of dollars coming, because if we don't spend them, they go back. That's number one. And number two, it's a quick, easy project, but it's backwards. And I suggested clean out the river, the bayous, Big Pigeon, Little Pigeon, and walk it back. Get all your natural streams going first. That way, when you do cut into that bowl, that basin, that water will go right straight on through and go out the backside, keep moving, and not the sediment settle and build up the ground. So anyway, I think we just advise against it, and everybody that spends time out in that spillway agreed that it would be a detriment not only to the fisheries, but the people being able to access that. Where you cram fishing one day, the next day you planting soybeans, so to speak, and that's what we wanted to try to avoid and stop that deterioration. But anyway, they did the permit anyway, and I think it would be a good thing for us to join in and say, hey, we need the judge to look at it and say, hey, let's throw this thing out, let's start over, and let's do it right.
And unfortunately, you can't undo the damage. I
Once
saw
you do it,
the waterway at one point, Mr. Dean showed me, and then the next you actually can see traps just in the dirt, like where what was once water. I mean, that's people's livelihood. So
It's also
it was
dangerous.
devastating.
Some parts, whenever we come in, you can't even really see around some of the turns because it's gotten so narrow. So really, it's dangerous too.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank y'all. Appreciate it.
Would y'all like to make a motion did you have something you want to say?
I just wanted to say, I was here at the meeting, and I think 4 or 5 of you guys are new, and you probably weren't here for the discussion. It was a lively discussion, and there are people who know about the basin on this council, and they voiced their opinion, and it was to say we're not for this. All I would say is procedurally is I think someone needs to bring this forward and say we need to bring it up and let the people who haven't been here hear that discussion, or let you present it as a motion and bring it forward. I think what's happening today is, are you signing on to take some legal action to join in and hire somebody to join in a brief or something without everybody knowing everything? Or do you schedule it for a discussion? That's your choice. Yes, you can move forward, but do you file, ask for it to be discussed again for everybody to be? I think Matt was here.
Pete Kelly was here.
Pete was here.
I came to several of the meetings, but I don't know.
But it was a lively discussion, which really put a highlight to the logic of what Chastity is talking about. So my point is, you can vote on it if you'd like, but sometimes I can look at some people saying, what are we voting on? And if you don't really know Chastity and Matt and
Why don't
some
you
of these
explain
folks-
up, friend?
Yeah, I think it is time sensitive because I think that the lawsuit is in. I think there's a time frame, correct? That's what I thought.
Why don't you explain exactly what the brief
What we're
said?
yeah.
Well, basically, they're in a lawsuit against the Corps of Engineers, and they're trying to go to multiple parishes who connect to the basin, correct? You asked the same thing for parishes to join in, correct?
Well, I decided to send a solution that market price.
Say Martin already joined in?
The Senate.
It's on the resolution. So that's what I'm saying. I think you need to move it to a resolution and you vote on that and then you move forward and you explain why you're doing it. But
It's a resolution. I think we passed the resolution.
Yes, yeah, we did, but they're
this was an appearance, this was a presentation and appearance, and I think they got their point across, and I think they have a sizable amount of council people who would like to join in with them. Just saying, you put it on an ordinance, you bring it forward, and then you vote on it.
We do an ordinance on it? And we did a resolution opposing that project.
This is just, I think, putting it official to say, hey, we do oppose it.
Right,
Yeah.
but
Right,
they're
the letter.
saying you did it on that prior council, now the lawsuit is pending now, and they want you to join in. So it's, you're not going up there and arguing, you're just saying, we're a friend of the defendant in here, and we want it stopped. So that's your choice.
It's just our opinion on the official
Basically
opinion. So-
officiating making it official, the resolution that was already approved.
So,
It doesn't have to be
it's just,
the public doesn't have to have.
no, we just gonna join in on we just gonna tell the judge that we agree with this lawsuit to stop the, permit.
Right.
And we agree with that because we don't want it to destroy that spillway more than it's already destroyed. That's what we're saying. If we just a friend of the court, we join in and amen the lawsuit, say, hey, judge, we agree with this lawsuit and we want to be a friend to that lawsuit. So there it is. What's that?
Yes, people.
Yeah, just briefly, if you could.
Yes, briefly. I want to explain something that is very important for everybody to understand. You know that South Central Louisiana is protected from Mississippi River floods by two spillways. The Bonacre Spillway protects New Orleans, and everything above that is protected by the Monaca Spillway. The levees are built 18 miles apart. They build them that far apart because you need the flood capacity to move that flood. The basin is losing the flood capacity, it's being filled in. They got special interest groups and people that own, or corporations that own parts of the basin that wants that land in there. They want to build land. The Buffalo Cove project is supposed to be the pilot project. They say, if it don't work, we will do it ever again. It didn't work. I have pictures and I can do a presentation for you guys another time.
I've seen them.
Where they can be like here to the light of sand. When 2011 came in, the sand built all the way there. They got pictures of traffic straps with 4 foot, sticking that much out of it. Then they did a second one. We complained, all the fishermen against it, LCPA was against it. Everybody told them, fill the swamps. They didn't listen, they filled the swamps. All the deep water habitat, all the lakes are filled because of that project. They did a second one. We opposed it, the same reason. It was the Bob Bayou project. Let's try it again. Okay? They put, part of the conditions of the permit was they put to measure how much sand it will move into the scuds. So they put a mat, white, in the ground. And then when the water come up, the water go down, they do a core. And you see the white line, they can measure how much sediment they accreted. They could not find the mat. It was so much sand, they only can go 3 foot deep. They couldn't reach it. So we had no clue how much sand came in. There is no data whatsoever because it was so much sand, they couldn't measure it. Yeah. In the Buffalo Cove project, they're supposed to be measuring the sediment. We had the LSU report. They could not reach the places because of the sand. They couldn't reach the places where the mats were. They couldn't even reach into them. Okay. And now they're doing a third project supported by the same entities. And by doing that, they put in jeopardy the safety. We guys cannot survive safely. You keep filling out the basin. There is no future for us in South Central Louisiana.
Ms. Mornez,
It's very serious.
I'm gonna make a motion.
she's gonna go ahead and make a motion.
Yes,
that
I just
we-
want to explain that for it to understand.
Thank
how
you.
serious it is.
Okay, thank
And
you.
I'll second.
Hold on, I gotta put it in. What's your motion?
To proceed with the Friends of the Court.
So, Ms. Martinez, I'm assuming y'all are asking administration to
To-
talk with them and
Yes.
secure an attorney to
Yes.
proceed. Okay.
Make the motion.
We got a motion?
Something to do?
I think the motion by Ms. Martinez is that the Iberville Parish Council will join with the parties here to oppose the Army Corps of Engineers project in the spillway relative to what is it, Grand,
Permitting, East Grand Lake
East Grand Lake.
project, yeah.
And it's proposed by Ms. Martinez and it's seconded by
Correct. Yes.
Ms. Easy.
Know that she has it.
Allen,
Yes.
Beasley,
Yes.
Dominique,
Yes.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yeah.
Jenkins. Yes.
That's done by the museum board, and they're going to expect to have a person in that position later this week. So once they do, we'll come before you and kind of let y'all know what was the decision of the museum board. That's another important position, and I think moving forward, I think we can take the museums and kind of offer more support throughout the parish. Other parishes do have like a tax. West Baton Rouge has a museum tax. We don't in Iberville Parish, so we sustain some of those funds directly from you, the council. So we thank y'all for the support in the annual budget. Moving forward, we have operations. So as you know, last week on Monday morning, I think everybody woke up and was like, "Well, we got a hurricane coming." So I'm very proud of our departments, DPW, all across the board, 911, EOC. The sheriff's department was a big support system throughout the storm. All of our departments stepped up and did a phenomenal job. Fire departments, Brett actually reached out from the sheriff's department, said, "Hey, y'all got a couple extra chainsaws," and they put them in some of their vehicles with the deputies. He told me they had helped clear branches and a few roadway of about 30 trees because they were the first ones to the scene in a lot of those situations that night. And then along with our staff, cleaned and cleared over 16 full trees that were across roadways. So it was a great team effort across the parish. I want to say within a day, probably by midday the next day, we had all roads clear after the storm. And most importantly, I think PC Electric, City of Baton Rouge, Point P Electric, City of Blackman, and Energy did a great job of getting all of our residents back. Some of the areas were, the last to come on, but it was within a few days. So we were very fortunate and blessed that the storm moved off to the east a little bit. Next up, we do have the reorganizational chart on the agenda tonight. So that's just for y'all to approve to send to the public hearing next month. That's something that we've been working on since we've started. When in all aspect of the reorganizational chart, 95% of it was already there in the parish. It just wasn't brought before the council to be put as in the charter for approval. And what I'm saying that 26 years of adding positions and some positions that have come before you, IPRD, animal control, fire department was added, economic development, all of these positions, but it wasn't put into a structure and came before the council for approval. So that was the main purpose of getting this done. Emergent's been a great company to work with. Mr. John Snow is going to come before you next month and actually present at the public hearing. And so we can get that moving forward. Our salary structure as well, we're going to come to that and have that before you next month. The main intent is to have structure, but also create equity within the salary schedule that we're going to present to you. And that's going to be next month. So next month as well is our final review of the 2025 budget, which is coming up next month. In October, it's going to come before you to go to the budget hearing in November as well. So in that 2025 budget that Randall has been constantly meeting with our departments. He's putting all the data in. He's very pleased to hear also with Randy's, Mr. Sexton's conversation a little while ago with the tax revenue being an increase. It helps everybody throughout the parish. It helps our parish government. It helps school systems. It helps our local municipalities. So all of those things coming together, it's going to make a good year, but it allows us to get more projects done and at the disposal. And we're going to come to the council and have some conversation with you about each of your districts and some of the things that you'd like to see. Moving forward, we do have my mayor's meeting that we have monthly is going to be next month in Merrington. We haven't been to Merrington yet, so this is our Merrington meeting. We have Miss Monica Edmonds from Community Services. She's going to come talk to the mayors about what the Community Services offers and just offer the assistance from that office. They are getting comfortable. She loves her new office over there at Council on Aging. She's looked right out the window. She could see her clients pulling up, and she likes not having to go in and out of the courthouse as much. So it's a little faster for her clients to come and access them. So we're moving on with the next phase of getting to the courthouse. Grove State Bridge closure. Some great announcements coming very soon. Tomorrow, they are starting the opening and closing of the Grove State Bridge. So they're going to shut it down to vessel traffic all day. So starting at 7 in the morning, they're going to try to take it, and they have to lift it up off of the base. And once they do, they're going to inspect the bearings. If the bearings look good, then they can move forward with the potential opening next week. Okay, so we have a public meeting tomorrow night at the Intercoastal Fire Station that we're going to go and talk to the community members and let them know the status. By this time tomorrow night, we should know if the bearings look good, and then by mid next week is the rough target to say that they're going to start opening to vehicular traffic. So with that vehicular traffic is a little negotiation going on right now with the Coast Guard, the Marine Traffic Division, or the Maritime that actually is responsible for the barge traffic, because the intercoastal route, if many of you don't know, is a very fast track to get to Morgan City. So if they had to take the Mississippi River and go all the way around to New Orleans, then go the southern route, it's a long path. So this path saves the Maritime a lot of travel. There are roughly between 17 and 20 vessels, barges that travel that route daily. But I'm also being mindful and trying to negotiate a better time to make sure it's more conducive to our residents of Iberville Parish in the time frame that we're going to be open. So we're working on that right now. The community meeting tomorrow is going to give them an update. And then coming this Sunday, I've reached out to Brett Stassy, and we're going to ask other partners. Brett has offered his support, but it may be one of our last days of having the pedestrian ferry open. So we're going to go out there between 11 and 2, and we're going to cook for the residents that have been coming across that bridge. So if any of y'all want to participate or be a part of it, we'd love to see you there Sunday. We just decided on doing that this week, finding out that we may open up next week. So we want to kind of help do something for the community members that have been using that pedestrian ferry that long. Projects coming up. So a Highway 30 and a pump station project. It did get approval. We had to go before the state since the last meeting. We had to go to a budget hearing, and we did get approval to get the additional funds needed to make that project happen. So there was an extension. It was an additional $600,000 project, but we were able to work with them. We had some communication with them, and they did sign off to give us the additional funds. We did have a little match in that as well, so we did have to match some of those funds to make that project happen. That 20-inch water line is an extension from the fire station in St. Gabriel, and it's going all the way to the utility facility. So we have that. It's going to be starting next month. Main thing too is the LCIW that's coming on, Louisiana Correctional Institute for Women's. That is going to be coming online full steam in open operations around March or April of next year. So it's going to be up and operating. They're going to be using a lot more water supply. Bayou Pigeon boat ramp status. The bids got backed up 2 weeks, unfortunately, because of the storm. So what's happening is it opens next Tuesday. So next Tuesday, we will know who the winning contractor is, as long as they meet all the requirements. And then we do have our engineer on site, Mr. Seneca's here. So if anybody has any questions or anything after the meeting, Mr. Seneca's here for those questions. Moving forward, road repairs. Those projects are to begin in October as well. Road repairs, we sent you an email that has all of the roads across the parish that are getting repairs. So that is done annually. This year, we're doing around 1.5 million. The goal next year is actually to increase that. We want to do more road repairs across the parish next year. So we're looking at that, and we'll be in contact throughout y'all districts. If y'all know of any areas, reach out to us. But we do have a company that goes and inspects all of our roads. Manchac Road improvements is coming very soon. We're still on hold, actually waiting on a CEA with the state. So as soon as we get that Manchac Road, that's going to be on the sections of Manchac Road that we need to lift.
That way we don't have to deploy these aqua dams. That's coming forward as well. Highway 1 North Blackman. So, Mr. Marcus, you asked about this last month. This week, we actually finally got approval last week. We're going to be issuing the $5,000 permit to Union Pacific to bore underneath the railroad. So now that we're going to be sending a check this week, that was the final step. We were waiting to get that approval. So you should see some action very soon where Mr. Tom David is going to be drafting those documents and getting them ready to go out to bid. So that's going to be a good problem to relieve some of that drainage on North Black.
Appreciate it.
Repairs on the road maintenance contract, that's been signed. That's going to begin soon. Community-wise, so in your packet, you actually have the Veterans Day event that's coming up on November 11th. That's going to be a great event as usual that the parish always puts on. We do have our guest speaker this year. It's going to be Miss Angela Goldman. She's the commander of the Louisiana American Legion. We also got an email recently where one of our U.S. senators has reached out interest, and they may be attending that event. So he wants to make sure that he attends, and he has that on his schedule at this time. We have our swamp light that's being moved. I mentioned that to y'all last month. So April 5th, because of our renovations going on at the Grove State Welcome Center. And the last thing on my list is the waterway cleanup. It's something that we scheduled since the last meeting. Y'all got an email last week kind of introducing it. We didn't want to go too far into October, then you're dealing with hunting and you got rifles out there on the waterways. So we tried to get it done that first weekend in October. Next year, we feel confident we can kind of do it a little earlier. We can start doing it possibly in September rather than push it to any time close to hunting season. But that is a waterway cleanup, because when we did the last cleanup, we had a lot of community members reach out to us and said, you know, it was great with cleaning the roadways and across the parish, but what about the waterways? So this is our way to kind of get back, make sure we get some support across the parish and we get those waterways cleaned up as best possible. All right, council members. I'm a little winded, but any questions?
I have a little something, as we move forward with the, and I know I talked around about this, on the budget, we have this budget hearing or whatever.
Yeah.
I want to try to see if we can maybe start putting more into drainage. And the reason for that is because the upper, I think, John could probably relate to this, but they, down on Rosedale Road, there's Bayou Choppy, I think is what it's called. They are cleaning that thing out. They're digging it twice as deep and probably 3 times as wide. And that's part of the upper Saul district, Honky and West Baton Rouge. And they got a lot of grant money recently to do a lot of drainage. And what that's going to do is going to hurry that water to us. It's going to come faster, going to come higher, and it's going to come and go fast. So we need to start preparing for that. And it's coming. I mean, you can see if y'all could in the next month or so, go down Rosedale Road and look at that bayou that's been cleaned out. And I'm telling y'all, that water is going to come. It's going to come fast. And if we're not prepared for it, and we don't get geared up for it, we're going to be in trouble in Iberville Parish.
Yes,
You're draining 2 parishes, and they're coming right here to Iberville. They're going right there to Bottom Saul, where it's going.
all
Right?
of it.
So we need to get ready for that.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. So one thing that before y'all may have some other questions, but one thing that we did do, we got a lot of compliments throughout the storm and the response. And the reason we had great compliments is we actually took the DPW and split them up into different regions. So we actually put equipment ahead of the storm in St. Gabriel. We put equipment ahead of the storm in North Iberville. We had staff in place. So that day, that's where they went. That's where they stayed. And as soon as we had a response or anything from 911 about a tree falling, then our guys were there right away rather than having to take that equipment from Plaquemine and go and distribute it. So one of the things too, Councilman Jewel, is to make sure that we have maintenance plans in place. So one thing that we've kind of identified, a lot of our maintenance is actually reactive. We're waiting for phone calls from council members, and we're waiting for situations to happen before we react. Okay, so moving forward, we're going to be working with DPW to make sure that we have machinery, but certain staff, and they have their designated areas of the parish. What that's going to do is improve that efficiency and make operations a lot faster response. And then it'll be certain ones for each of your districts.
Yeah, I want to know mine.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
And talking about the trees, you know, once storms come and you guys are the ones out there cutting the trees that fall on Highway 75, I know. But there's several trees along Highway 75, which I know is a state road. But I mean, they're barely hanging on. And several residents call me about them. School buses are hitting, the fire trucks are hitting, some of them hanging down. Is that something we can look at addressing, or do we need to contact the state? Because it's almost like be proactive and say, okay, these are the trees we know the next storm.
Yeah, you can put that in the email, send it to us.
Okay.
Because if you attach it to John Overton or send it to us, if it's a state, we can forward it to the state.
I've
But I totally
contacted them,
agree
but
with you.
hadn't
So
had luck, so.
we did get a response. So Disaster Recovery Corporation that does all of our after storm debris. That's who we have a contract with. So right after the storm, we dispatched them to Manchac Road. Even though we had the road clear, we wanted them to clear any overhanging debris or anything that may look like a potential hazard for the future. Because if we can do it right now, right after the storm, we may prevent less problems down the road. So we have them on site on Manchac Road this week, doing some of that work to make sure that we're being proactive in those long-term tree
And are they supposed to
debris
be coming
issues.
to 75 and 404 because we have lots?
Okay. All right.
And I have contacted the state, but if anybody else has a contact, I'll take you up on it, but hadn't had any luck, so.
So we can do that's Manchac Road's ours, but on the state road we can pass it on to the state.
Yeah, and we've done that, both of us,
But
but
that's
we
what I'm
don't
saying.
really
What
get
do
much
we
of
do when we
response.
don't get a response from the state? I guess is my question. Because at the end, it's gonna be you guys that's gonna have to deal with it. You know?
Yes, because we actually respond a lot faster than the state. So if it is something on the road, we're actually clearing it before the state even gets here. So,
Right.
So we
Chris, back to the drainage. Bayou Grove State is one of your main drains from the north end of the parish. What's the probability about getting some of the trees? I know there's numerous trees down and had been cleaned in quite a while.
yes, sir.
What would be the process?
We have had meetings about it to discuss it. That is ours internally. So we're going to have to put together a plan, send out assessment teams and make sure that we identify those trees, where they are, and then get our equipment over there. So that's going to be with John Overton's team.
I didn't even get a chance to talk to him about this today, but I got a call from GOSEP. They wanting to do an assessment on Bayou Grove State, bringing our NRCS in. That doesn't mean that they're gonna fund it. I didn't even get a chance to tell you that because my head's been buried in a computer all day. But John Clark is on that. He's already made contact to get that ball rolling.
Good. Thank you, John.
Can you include Bayou Platinum? Yeah.
Yeah, he's gonna start talking to us about all that.
Thank you, John.
There you go. All right, any other questions?
Anybody else?
All right, thank y'all, Council.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Next, we have the finance report, Mr. Dunn.
Good evening, Council Chair, Council Clerk. Y'all have your financial statements. I can answer any questions. I will be presenting a budget next month. I know y'all want to have a meeting, which is perfectly fine with me. What I do ask y'all is, for me, I want to know what kind of format, like, what do y'all want me to present to y'all? Because a budget meeting can last, an hour, or it can last 10 hours. I mean, I need to know what detail you want me to go into. I know that you don't want the 10 hours.
We need we need you to speak in like our language too, not.
I will definitely try to do that.
We really understand what you mean.
Yeah. So just if y'all could kind of get together and Matt, just let me know kind of how you want it to flow, so I'm not wasting anybody's time. With regards to drainage projects, Matt, it's funny that you said something about that, because in our meetings, in our budget meetings, we talked about prioritizing drainage projects, based on cost benefit. Obviously, if there's a mile of drainage that you need to do and it's going to cost, $5 million to do it, and it doesn't benefit, the cost, the cost outweighs the benefit, then you don't want to do that. So John is coming. If y'all have any issues with drainage issues or anything that y'all need us to take a look at, we need those so that we can get that list and start having someone look at them and prioritize those based on what we think those costs are going to be. So y'all need to get that over to the off. Let us know where those issues are at. We do know that we have a list and we work on it. But if there's something that we don't know about, let us know. the question about the state and the state roadway, about them clearing it, Chassid. DRC is the state's contractor for debris removal. They're also our contractor for debris removal. So we can reach out to them and find out what's going on. I don't know if they'll tell us anything because they work for the
At
state
one
on that
point,
job.
they
but-
came and cut some of the trees that was hanging over and left everything outside the road.
So that's because they were doing leaners and hangers. So what they were doing is they were going in and cutting the canopy and removing any dangers, laying it to the side of the road. So it'll be
Right,
so,
but they never came picked it up.
so yeah. So that's
So-
because believe me, I'm not defending them, but they're probably still doing leaners and hangers. So but I'll find out. We'll find out what's going on. I will find that out. I'll try to find out.
I mean,
At one time,
have
they
to
were
ask
like
the
just
RC.
cutbacks off of the road, and then I had called and said, "Hey, are y'all going to continue all the way down 75?" He was like, "Yeah, I think so," but then that was it. Then it was
You
gone. The next.
asked the state or you asked the contractors out there?
I asked the state.
Okay. Didn't see. They're just doing what they told out there, So, I think that's it. Y'all have any questions?
Any questions?
On anything?
Thank you, Mr. Dunn.
Okay.
We'll see you at
And
the hearing.
Yeah, y'all just
That's-
seriously let me know the format y'all want.
All right.
And if
Thank
you could give me that contact to a number for DRC, is that what you said?
Okay.
I'll call them too.
I know you will.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. Next, we had old business. Just prior to this meeting, we had a public hearing on two proposed ordinances. The first being an ordinance to amend Section 3 of IPC Ordinance 002-13 to allow adjudicated properties to be sold to the highest bidder without setting a minimum bid. B was an ordinance implementing an ad valorem tax exemption for first responders who own and occupy homes within Iberville Parish. So I need a motion and a second to accept both of these, to approve both of these ordinances, A and B.
With the motion. I second.
We have a motion and a second.
Allen? Yes. Easley?
Yes.
Dominique?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Jenkins? Yes. Markins?
Yes.
Bradford?
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Darden?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yeah. Mason, do you want me to go ahead and do B separately so you can, so the computer will jive with that? Okay. Let's go ahead and do,
First.
can we get a motion and a second on B right
I'll
quick?
make a motion.
We have a motion
Second.
and we have a second. Roll call on B, please.
Allen? Yes. Easley?
Yes.
Dominique?
Yes.
Frazier?
Yes.
Smith?
Yes.
Pierce?
Yes.
Jenkins?
Yes.
Markins?
Yes.
Bradford?
Yes.
Martinez?
Yes.
Darden?
Yes.
Morgan?
Yeah. So moved. I think the computer caught up with us. Let's see. All right, new business, introduction of ordinance. We have an ordinance to provide for placement of recreational vehicles in unincorporated areas of Iberville Parish. Did somebody want to explain that one?
So currently, the way everything reads right now, recreational vehicle, travel trailer, motorhome, truck camper, camping trailer defined by the Iberville Parish Unified Development Code, Section 9A-18 shall only be placed within a recognized RV park approved by the parish. So tonight, the council's approval will be to move forward with making sure that no recreational vehicle, travel trailer, motorhome, truck camper, trailer shall be located on any lot while being used temporarily as a living quarters, except in a approved recreational park. So that would be the change you guys will be making tonight. Mr. Stephen Galata from Permits is here tonight if you guys have any questions.
I do
So,
have a question.
so that doesn't pertain to, and I just want to make this a statement again, it does pertain to people that are coming out on the weekend and want to spend the weekend camping or whatever, and then go back home. As long as they have a resident somewhere else.
Correct.
And we currently do have something in place that says that you can't live in a RV. Don't we have something? But this kind of like just makes it more black and white, I guess.
Council Chair, Council. Mason.
Go ahead.
How y'all doing this evening? We do have an ordinance in the Unified Developmental Code that addresses campsites.
Okay.
A person can have a campsite that is an RV, a recreational vehicle, a motorhome, and they're allowed 4 consecutive days to stay in it. FEMA, the reason for the ordinance is because the permit office is bound by many different things. One, the International Code Council, the National Building Codes, FEMA, the DOTD, and our own Unified Developmental Code. FEMA says that a recreational vehicle is not intended for continuous occupancy. It's meant for camping, travel, recreational. So this came about while we had some individuals, Terry's district, Chastity's district, other people's district, wanting to, there's an influx with the work in the parish, wanting to put campers on their property and rent them out to the people coming to the parish. It's a problem. But that's what this ordinance is basically designed to prevent everybody to have a camper in their yard. So, but we do have people who have campers as camps. The first thing we do is make sure they have another address. They live somewhere else, and we give them the code and we show it to them, and this is where it's read, this is the way it's enforced. So, no, we don't, we're not discriminating against people with campsites and things like that.
Any other questions?
Yes. Are they able to put trailers on property that's you said living? For instance, he's know what I'm complaining about. So
People can have an RV on their property. It's just not designed for them to live in. I mean, there's lots of people who have RVs and they keep them plugged in so the air conditioners run so they can stay humidified. But the problem is once you start hooking water and sewage up to them, that's an indication that they're occupied by someone. They rent them out, they have family living in them, things like that. But you can store an RV on your property.
so even if we got complaint on this particular property, that it was supposed to be a business property, it's commercial, but it's not. It didn't pass our code because it's not keep upgraded. So he has a right, you're telling me, to keep that trailer out there?
Like I said, there's a lot of people in the parish who have RVs on their property, their personal RVs. We also have, and you know this as well as I do, we have an ordinance coming up about outside storage, which is gonna help govern some people accumulating things in the parish, RVs, junk vehicles, and those type of things. So yes, a person can keep an RV on their property.
But they just can't have it as their personal.
Just can't have
residence.
anybody living in it.
We'll talk after.
Okay.
Question, if I just gotta buy a lot, I can't afford nothing else but that RV, and I buy an RV, and I'm outside the city limits, I can't live in that RV.
No, sir. Not about FEMA rules. The one thing with most RVs is they don't meet fire marshal codes. Because the first thing in a lot of the fire marshal codes about inhabitable dwellings, then you have to have access and egress. If you look at a lot of these 20, 23, 27-foot campers, they only got one door. So if I light your door on fire, you die.
And where the problem was coming in is I got a subdivision in my area, and it has trailer homes and it has the building homes.
Mobile home.
Well, mobile homes. Well, some of them, one person was wanting to put a travel trailer in that subdivision that has covenants against it, and make, the whole neighborhood would be upset.
And the big part of his conversation was that he was going to acquire an attorney because we actually have no ordinance that says he could in black and white. So this was Chastity had called me, and I had found this old ordinance in my desk. This was a 2017 ordinance that failed to pass.
I would try to pass.
Yeah.
A few years.
So I did giving it to her, and she wanted to try to resurrect her.
Any other questions? Thank you, thank you. Mr. Booth, I think we have one
Thank you,
more.
Mr. Steve.
We had ordinance and then Chris, they're gonna council for the reorganization plan.
Yes, so Emergent Method has completed and delivered their new proposal to the parish president, and this would be asking you guys to help move forward with the new reorganization. We also have Mr. Barry Marino here tonight, if you guys have any questions. He left. He was here. If you guys had any questions, he was a big component of writing the charter back in 1997, so I'm sure he'd be happy to answer any questions you guys might have, or we can help answer them tonight for you.
Yeah. Any questions on that? On that one? No? Okay, I need a motion and a second.
I second.
We have a motion and a second. Push those buttons. To bring these forward for public hearing on October the 15th at 6 p.m.
Allen,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Dominique,
1 and 2.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Nay for 1 and yes for 2.
okay. Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Morgan.
Yeah. So moved. Next, we had, right prior to this meeting, we had a resolutions committee, meeting, and it was found favorable to bring forward a resolution adopting the annual certification of compliance with the state of Louisiana off-system bridge replacement program. Motion and a second.
I'll make a motion.
We have a motion,
I second.
and we have a second. Roll call, please.
Allen,
Yes.
Easley,
Yes.
Dominique,
Yeah.
Frazier,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Pierce,
Yes.
Jenkins,
Yes.
Markins,
Yes.
Bradford,
Yes.
Martinez,
Yes.
Jordan,
Yes.
Morgan.
Yeah.
Mr. Boudreaux, I appreciate you waiting there. I know you'll wait for me to give you the signal. We do that every year, so we good. I think we're good on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
You did a good job. Next, I had an announcement, and I'll read through it right quick. Notice to public, the last day to register to vote is November the 5th, 2024 election. In person and by mail is October the 7th. So October is the last day that you can register to vote. And this upcoming visit GoVote.com. To 6 p.m. Citizens who want to vote early may do so in person at the Iberville Parish Registrar of Voters Office located on the second floor, Iberville Parish Courthouse, 58050 Miriam Street, Plaquemine, Louisiana. There being no other business tonight, I need a motion and a second to adjourn.
I make a motion.
I second.
And there being no opposition, so moved. Thank y'all for coming.
Thank you.